The first rule of Clippers talk: you do not bring up Jerami Grant trades. The second rule of Clippers talk: you do not bring up Jerami Grant trades. Welcome into Clippers talk. I'm Adam Moslin. Check out the new background. Yeah, one of the late great movies of the 90s before we entered the aughts. Fight Club. That's how I'm feeling today. We're going to get into the Clippers Blazers preview, but we also got to talk about something I'm being inundated with currently, which is trade moves 3 games into the season for a guy who takes up $30 million per year of your cap over the next 4 seasons in Jerami Grant. I know Clipper Nation is excited. I know it's an exciting time. I know they have a great chance to go 3-1 so far this season with a game tonight against the Blazers and Jerami Grant. But the first rule about Clippers talk is do not tell me about Jerami Grant trades. Do not. He makes... Let me give you the rundown. In case you don't believe me, I will share the screen. Jerami Grant is at just under $30 million this year, $32 million next year, $34 million through the 26-27 season, which means the summer of 2026, and then he has a player option, summer of 2027, for $36 million. This is the guy everybody here is talking about and wants to trade for. Is this the first time out here? I don't know if I can take much more of this. Unless you think Jerami Grant can be the number 1 or number 2 option on a championship team, you do not make that move. Do you think he can be the number 1 or number 2 option on a championship team? Because he's had some really good moments, and he is a good player, and he had a hot start to his time in Detroit. I remember the first month of the season. When was that? Back in 2020 and 2021. He averaged 22 points per game that season. Solid defender. Put in time in Philly originally, then OKC, then Denver. They had him against the Clippers in the bubble. Guys, unless you think he can be a number 1 or number 2 option, you cannot trade assets for Jerami Grant. You cannot have him taking up salary cap in the summer of 2026. You cannot have him taking up a significant portion of the money that you could use to spend on someone more transformative that can be that number 1 and 2 option on a championship team. That should be the thinking here when it comes to Jerami Grant. I've already had to address it multiple times today. I'm looking at the show I did yesterday, 2 hours of taking questions, and one of the first comments is, we need to trade Terrence, Mann, Bones, PJ Tucker, Kobe Brown for Jerami Grant. He would be easily a way better fit in the starting lineup with Derrick Jones. Both good defensive players that can knock down the 3 ball and can finish at the rim. Once Kawhi comes back, that'll be a hell of a defensive squad starting, as if they aren't already. Don't be surprised he finds his way on the Clippers. Same way you all see how Chris Dunn's impact on the Clippers. Grant will most definitely flourish with us. That comes from Team Money 5956. Maybe he didn't see the part where Jerami Grant is making over $30 million over the next 4 seasons before a player option. Really? You guys want to give up assets and cap room after the Clippers got all this flexibility to get back in the mix over the next couple of seasons for somebody who is much closer to a top 10 player in the league. Do you think Jerami Grant is that? He's not. He is a good player. He may get 20 plus against the Clippers tonight. Somebody's got to take those shots for the Portland Trail Blazers. More on where they're at in the standings in just a little bit, but I'd rather have Anthony Simons and his scoring potential, and I don't think they're getting him either. They don't have the assets, nor should they be trading for somebody that likely is not a number 1 or number 2 option on a championship team with a contract like this. Unless they believe they don't have a shot at all at Luka or SGA in the summer of 2026, or guys that could become disgruntled and available through trade over the next couple of seasons that are above Jerami Grant, you shouldn't be doing that move. He just scored 7 points the other night on 3 of 12 shooting in a 111-98 game against Sacramento. Before that, 28, 34, 16 opening night. He's a good player. Do you think Jerami Grant is a top 10 player in the league? No one's stressed. Simply using it for content. And I like the new Tyler Durden Fight Club background for this specific episode and how I can switch that up. I don't know if it's just some of the fringe Clippers fans on Twitter or on Reddit that are bringing this up all the time, but it's happening far too often for my liking. Another guy I just got who is blowing me up about this is Illmatic Adam. Not me, not my burner account. He saw the defensive field goal percentage on the Clippers and all the opponent's field goal percentage and individual matchups against them so far this season in 3 games, which has guys scoring 54% of the time on Derrick Jones Jr., which might surprise you with how good they've been defensively. It's 3 games. It's not meaningful. People want to say Terrence Mann is giving up 71% shooting in individual matchups, 14 shots. Guys have hit 10 of them in one-on-one matchups based on Sport VU stuff that can be very flawed. He said, Illmatic Adam, you have to package Mann with Tucker and Bones for John Collins or Jerami Grant. First of all, I don't think Utah or the Portland Trail Blazers would do that. Do you guys? Mann, Tucker, and Bones for John Collins or Jerami Grant. You don't think they could actually get a pick? A first-round pick for Jerami Grant? It's making my head hurt more than, what's his name? From 30 Seconds to Mars, Jared Leto's head was hurting after that beating he took in Fight Club. First rule about Clippers talk, we do not talk about Jerami Grant trades. Second rule, we do not talk about Jerami Grant trades. I know you guys aren't casuals in here. Richard Heacock said, if we wanted another big salary, we would have kept PG. I have a dream idea. Can we trade PJ for Luke? Love to have that shooter back. Let's see what Luke Kennard's making currently. He's still at $15 million under the contract the Clippers gave him. No, he's at $9 million. You could say it works. Why would anyone give up someone who can actually play for PJ Tucker, though? I am looking for actual, reasonable, possible trades. You don't think the Memphis Grizzlies could do better? I mean, the guy just shot in 24 games last season, 54% from 3. The year before that, 45%. He has led the league in three-point shooting, I believe, with the Clippers before. Do you really think they're giving him up for PJ Tucker? Why would they do that, Richard? Can you explain it? Joe Rosenfeld underscores how I'm feeling. Please, God, no more trade machines for you guys that don't fit and impede our future acquisitions. I don't think you guys understand. Unless it's a player that can be a number 1 or number 2 option on a championship team You don't bring in someone that makes over $30 million like Jerami Grant. Do you think he's that guy? Do you think he's a top 15 player? Is he a top 20 player? I'd say no. Bonnet Chima said, Clippers better not BS tonight. They can easily lose this game. More on that in a little bit. Todd Tate said, if the Clippers were to make a trade for Grant or Simons and Kawhi is back in the lineup, what starter would go to the bench? I'm not entertaining it. How are they getting Jerami Grant or Simons to begin with, guys? Help me out here. Somebody's saying Kuzma will be amazing, and he is realistic. More realistic than the Jerami Grant. Also, you haven't put out the realistic trade of how they get Kyle Kuzma. Can I bring something up to you guys? Why are we talking about making a move 3 games into the season? The Clippers are 2-1, and you're talking about somebody else taking up significant salary cap space when we don't know if Kawhi Leonard can come back and play healthy and sustain good health for a run. Shouldn't you see if Kawhi can get on the court and then stay healthy first before you start making moves to try to get over the top when you can't get over the top without Kawhi Leonard getting you there? And for that, he has to be healthy. Am I missing something? Clue Wave Cool said they delusional, Adam. We're doomed. Well, I wouldn't go that far either. Amina Sean said, dude, stop with the Jerami Grant trade. It won't happen and it shouldn't happen. Thank you. Timothy said, why are we talking about trades after the 3rd game? You tell me. Todd Tate said Clippers don't need to make a trade for another starter. Richard Heacock said that's why I called it a dream. That's why I called it unproductive. I am looking for actual things that can happen, Richard. Do you know the show? That's what I'm going for. Benate Shima said, you are right, but I'm talking about what we need before the deadline. Before the deadline? Before the deadline. It's game 3, my guy. Can we wait? Yanni Tears said, also, I will say I agree about not making moves much, but the positive of Kuz is just the flexibility to adapt to bigger teams. Great, guys. I like Kyle Kuzma, too. Should they be making moves right now before they can see if Kawhi can play 5 games straight, 10 games straight? Kuzma's salary is $23 million this year, $21 million next year, $19 million the year after that. You want a guy taking up that much salary when it may stop you from bringing in someone transformative, a top-tier player that can get this franchise to where we want them to go. You want Kyle Kuzma that could stop that from happening because summer of 2026, he will be on the books. Are you sure you want to do that? Marcino Johnson said, thank you. Clippers look good. Why do we want to make moves? Let them play together for a month at least. Man started slow last year and the year before and finished strong. We're good. No, thank you, Marcino. I just can't for the life of me go too far down the rabbit hole of all these trades. This guy wants a timeout. Daniel M. Denton said, why don't we trade Bones for Luka? I mean, why not? Well, some of the stuff you guys are talking about, even that seems reasonable or just about as reasonable as bringing in Jerami Grant. First of all, I don't think the Clippers could construct a trade that would entice Portland to doing it because they could get a first-round pick for him. So you're going to give up what the last one you have available right now? Is it 2030 or 2031? And even then, they might be able to get 2. Look what they got for Dame. Jerami Grant's still relatively young, but he's been around the league for a bit. And I don't think he's a top 20 player. He's 30. Amina Sean said, that's what I've been trying to say. We shouldn't do any trades if Kawhi doesn't stay healthy. Shouldn't that be what we look for first before anything else? First rule of Clippers talk. Can I get the Brad Pitt point? First rule. Gentlemen, welcome to Clippers Talk. First rule of Clippers Talk. We do not talk about unrealistic and far-fetched trades for guys who aren't even top 20 players that could be taking up a ton of your salary cap when you could be getting better players. Second rule, we do not be talking about I just it's so frustrating sometimes. I get it. Fans, fanatics, this is what we do. Have fun with it. That's why I got the Fight Club background. That helps me get by when I hear about all these Jerami Grant trades. I just want the show to be dipped in reality a little bit here. Please. Again, Jerami Grant is a nice player. Don't get me wrong. But considering the other options that could be out there over the next couple of seasons that you won't have if you bring in Jerami Grant, because he makes $30 million this year, 32 the year after that, 34 the year after that. Oh, that's the summer of 2026 when Luka and Shea could be available. Uh-oh. What do we do? We went all in. Kawhi's still hurt. And we brought in Jerami Grant on a wish and a prayer, thinking that he could be a number 1 or 2 option on a championship team, and he wasn't. And now we can't get Luka. We can't be in the running for SGA. We couldn't, over the last couple of years, look for some of those disgruntled stars and make a trade for them with the team since we're under the first apron and have all this flexibility, all because we were impulsive at the start of the 2024-25 season and brought in Jerami Grant. Oh, no. What did we do, guys? Thank you, Frankie Boy 9. Why are we talking about a trade? This team is clicking now. I don't know. People are talking about it. I'm trying to get them back into a philosophy that I think the front office has, which is flexibility and the ability to build a competitive team now while having cap space, while being able to go big game hunting, while being competitive. That's the best of both worlds. Did they pull it off? We don't know for sure. Rewind, Amina Sean. I just cited multiple people who have been hitting me up today about Jerami Grant. And it happens every day, as does John Collins. Every day. Every day. The second rule of Fight Club and Clippers talk, we do not talk about John Collins trades. I like John Collins too. He's only 27. I don't think he's the athlete he once was from what I've seen. Like when he dunked on, I think it was Embiid. He makes $26 million this year. He makes $26 million next year, but that is a player option. So you want to bring in John Collins, who likely could be a rental for this season, and then possibly lose him for nothing? Someone was trying to tell me, oh, he'll opt in. He can't get that much money again. Well, year to year, probably not annually, but can he get $100 million over 5 years? Probably. Or $80 million over 4? Probably. So he's probably opting out. I just talked about Kuzma trades, my guy. I just talked about it. Yeah, that's a timeout. Your boy Reezy said, after watching that matchup yesterday, Anthony Edwards isn't ready to carry the load right now. Oh, I watched one game with Anthony Edwards. He's not ready. Yeah, that's logical. After he got his team to the Western Conference Finals last year, he's not ready to carry the load. He was just the number 1 option at 22 years old, getting his team to the Western Conference Finals. Now he's 23. But he's not ready. I watched the game yesterday. Come on, my guy. Your boy Reezy, you're better than this. He's him. He's a top 10 player. Anthony Edwards is that good. So let's talk about tonight's game. Maybe you're driving in and listening to this. Maybe you were somebody that disobeyed the first rule of Clippers Talk. We do not talk about Jerami Grant trades. In the second rule of Clippers Talk, we do not talk about John Collins trades. We do not. Of course, we do by not talking about it, but you know what I mean. Just trying to set the rules. That's all. So let's talk about tonight. Clippers taking on the Portland Trail Blazers. Could be a trap game. A little bit concerning, but very intrigued to see how they perform after a big weekend. Can they not have a letdown against one of the worst teams in the Western Conference we expect them to be? Blazers are currently 29th in offensive rating at 106.2. The Clippers are at 107.4. That's only 25th offensively. They're tied with Philly there. Is there any other ties between those two teams? The Blazers are 14th defensively through, I think, 4 games or 1-3. The Clippers are 3rd defensively. That is the big difference. Pace, Blazers close to the Clippers. Blazers 10th in pace. Clippers 14th in pace. Clippers 7th in rebounding percentage. Portland 9th. Blazers 27th in turnovers. Clippers 29th. Blazers at 18 per game. Clippers at 19 per game. So in a lot of these areas, they're close to the Clippers. The major differential would be defensively, the Clippers have been that good so far. They just shut down a Golden State Warriors team and Buddy Hield in their game on Sunday there that the Pelicans couldn't last night without Steph Curry all game as he got hurt late in that game against the Clippers. Clippers shut down Buddy Hield, who has gone off against everybody else. Will they shut down Jerami Grant, Anthony Simons, Scoot Henderson, DeAndre Ayton? We'll see. Richard said, if we wanted Grant, Collins, Levine, they would have done it. Not true. I've been saying on your pod, I like this team. No more attempted levity by me. I don't want a timeout for not being serious. I mean, if the levity is really funny, you wouldn't get a timeout. But it could be that they have one of these guys, and they just don't even have the assets to get him anyways. I don't know. I'm just giving you what I think the mindset is of the front office. Amina Sean said, we should beat the Blazers. Marcino Johnson said, could be a trap game for sure, but with our defensive mindset, I don't believe they will have a letdown. That Zoo versus Ayton matchup is kind of intriguing. Clippers by 10 plus because of defense. I like that. Let's see what Ayton versus Zoo and the tail of the tape has been over the years between these two guys. So DeAndre Ayton has been in the league for 7 seasons. Ivica Zubac's 9. Let's see. Head-to-head. Points per game in favor of DeAndre Ayton. That's not head-to-head. That's just overall career versus one another. So Ivica Zubac's, his best game against Ayton is a 2012 game, if you're going off the numbers. But he's only averaged 9.9 points per game against Ayton in his career. 9, so basically 10-7 against him. But 66, almost 67% shooting, solid. Obviously, he wasn't getting the ball in past years like he is now. Just heard from Batum yesterday. If you want to check out the last live I did, we heard from Nico Batum, Derek Jones Jr., Coach Lou at practice yesterday, discussing various topics. Batum was asked about what's the biggest difference with Ivica Zubac, getting the ball more. That's what I've been telling you guys. You said something to that effect. Zoo didn't become a completely different player over this past summer. He's been doing the work. Now he's getting the opportunity finally. So let's see what Ayton has been able to do the other way around against Ivica Zubac. He has averaged 15.4 points per game and 10 boards per game. I'm guessing he's also been able to get more shots up. He's only shooting, though, 54% from the floor against Zubac. So Zubac's much higher field goal percentage against Ayton than the other way around. Like seeing that. I thought Zoo was pretty good against him in the 2021 playoffs before he went down. I thought Zoo struggled in 2023 against Ayton and the Suns overall. He didn't have a good series when the Clippers lost in 5. Mike Dang says tonight will be a nice test to see how locked in they are. Agree. Hopefully this year's team doesn't play to the level of competition, but rather gives consistent, strong effort no matter who they face. That's how it has to be, especially against a team like Portland, who they will see four times this year. They have to win all those games. If you want a chance of staying out of the play-in, you have to win all those 4 games. Now, they're probably going to need, obviously, Kawhi back to have a chance to do that, too. We don't know his status. Yesterday, we just heard he and Mo Bamba are out the next 2 games. They are progressing. Not much further than that did Coach Lou go. Rishi Rish said, first Clippers game with more than one big man, and the Blazers have great rebounding. The rebounding has been good so far. The Clippers rebounding has been good too. Clippers are 7th in rebounding percentage. Portland has been 9th. But I don't even like looking at the analytics that early into the season. But if you want the head-to-head comparison just to see where Portland is at, to get a little bit more familiar with the foe tonight, because the Portland Trail Blazers are likely finishing bottom 2 in the Western Conference, if not with the worst record in the Western Conference. They're on the capture the flag mindset, I'm guessing. They have their first-round pick. And so far this season, if you're looking at the Portland Trail Blazers, they played 4 games. They lost their opener 111-98 to the Sacramento Kings. No, that was their last game, excuse me. Their first game was a loss 140-104 to the Golden State Warriors, who the Clippers just beat. Then they had a home 2-game mini series against the New Orleans Pelicans. They lost the first game 105-103 with Jerami Grant getting 34 points. They won the second game 125-103 with Jerami Grant getting 28 points. Then they just lost that game aforementioned to Sacramento 111-98. That was on Monday night. So some of the stuff to look to, they've been turning the ball over, obviously. Against Golden State in their first game, they had 17 turnovers. They shot 8 of 34 from the outside. They have not been shooting it well from there. In fact, I think they're even behind the Clippers, who have struggled from 3 so far. I'll give you the numbers here in a second. I believe they're both bottom 3 when it comes to three-point percentage on this young season. The Portland Trail Blazers, okay, so not quite as bad as I thought. They are the 5th worst three-point shooting team at 30.5%. They only take 32 per game. Clippers are only at 31 per game. They're about 1.5% better from 3 at 31.9%. That puts them around 20th. So neither team has been lighting it up from 3. That could be a big difference in this game if one is actually able to get unlocked from there. They got slaughtered by Golden State their first game. Second game against New Orleans. They get the big game from Jerami Grant. They lose by 2 late, though, still. And it was Brandon Ingram hitting a game winner. A guy who someone else might bring up in the trade machine coming up here. In that game, they were out-rebounded just by 2 on the offensive rebounds, 41-41. And they actually shot it much better from 3. So that probably is what kept them close. 13 of 35 from the outside, 37%. But they had 18 turnovers. The Pelicans only had 13. Anthony Simons had 4. Scoot Henderson had 3 off the bench. Jerami Grant had 5 of those turnovers. So their major guys were giving the basketball up. Meanwhile, Daniel Tice was a plus 14 in 18 minutes and starting for New Orleans. Still love Daniel Tice. But they let a player in Jordan Hawkins, a young player out of last year's draft in 2023 out of UConn, go off in that game for 24 points off the bench. You could say that was the difference with New Orleans winning. But then 2 nights later, in these 2-game mini series that are played now in the NBA, which I like, helps with scheduling a little bit less travel, stay in the same city, play a team 2 nights later, and you get, I don't know, a little bit more of a gauge of where you're at because you can game plan for the same team from one game to another. It's almost a playoff preview. Not really. It's still regular season, but it's not nothing. And in that game, they got 28 from Jerami Grant. We're a little bit more balanced. Anthony Simons had 27, DeAndre Ayton 17. All 5 starters were in double figures for the Portland Trail Blazers. They only had 16 turnovers, and they went 14 of 35 from the outside. So it's 2 decent games from the outside from them so far and 2 really miserable games. That could play a big role in tonight's contest between the Clippers and Blazers What are the Blazers at from three? They just went 4 of 22. They only took 22 threes against Sacramento in their most recent game, a 111-98 loss. That would be Monday night at Golden One Arena or Golden One Center. In that game, DeAndre Ayton did have 20 and 11, but Anthony Simons, 4 of 12, 12 points. Jerami Grant, 3 of 12 with 7 points, making over $30 million in the next 4 years. Scoot Henderson did have 18 off the bench. He was making progress towards the end of last season. So, a lot to look to. No one got banned. You probably get put on mute because you just asked about the same trade like 3 different times, and I already addressed it. Richard Heacock said, I feel great about Zoo. I'm more concerned about Kai or whoever takes his bench minutes. They have Klingon, and he's got big potential to give them the possibility of 48 quality big minutes. I'm not as familiar with him. I know that they can be a better rebounding team with Donovan Klingon. He was drafted at 7'2". Was he out of Gonzaga? I'm trying to think. No, he was a Husky. Yeah, the 7th overall pick last year in the draft. What are his numbers so far? And how much run has he been getting minutes-wise with the Portland Trail Blazers? Young guys should play on this team. He hasn't got much run. 13 minutes per game. Season high, therefore career high is 9. He had a 9-9 game. And that is the one they won against New Orleans, so you can say he was impactful there. Was good in his minutes. 4 of 6 from the floor to get those 9 points. So it's a very good point, Richard. Appreciate you. Charlie Gardner said, hey, Adam, are you going to grow your beard out to the length of Harden? No, I'll probably shave it. Maybe tomorrow. Charles Gardner also said, love this Clippers team. They got to win this game tonight. They have to win all 4 games against the Portland Trail Blazers. They do. No excuses for that. I don't care who's available. Those are 4 you have to get if you want a chance of staying out of the play-in, or just a higher seeding in the play-in, you could say, where you'd have double elimination on your side instead of single. Getting the 7-8 matchup instead of the 9-10, right? So I am excited for this game. I do think this has potential to show us something about the Clippers and where they're at mentality-wise, to see if they can step on a team's throat. If their defense doesn't let up because level of competition, that's what intrigues me about tonight. I feel like we found out a lot in 3 games about this team. The defense is for real, like we thought coming into the season. The offense is going to struggle at times, and they can have some poise under noise and some real composure late in games. After losing 1 late against Phoenix, they came back and won 2 late. Even after the opposition made multiple runs, they were always answered by the Clippers. Let's see, what else we got here? Yelling Tears said, you can't shave tomorrow at the beginning of November. I'm going with the reverse. Link said, I hope the Clips play today with the same intensity and not take for granted these supposedly easy teams, especially this early in the season, Link, because teams feel like they have a shot. They have a real chance. This earlier in the year, there's hope. Portland, while you can say, oh, they're institutionally tanking, the guys on the court aren't tanking for Cooper Flag. They don't care. They're trying to prove themselves. They're trying to get more minutes. They're trying to advance their game, develop. Your boy Reezy said, no excuse why Zoo can't outplay any center now outside of Joel and Jokic unless he's fatigued. Munit said, am I crazy for thinking we can be top 6? Everyone is always hoping for the play-in. You're not crazy, but Kawhi's going to have to play at least 50 games, I think, for that to happen. I think. And then you go 30-20 in those games. What do you do in the other 32 games without him? So far, 2-1. Can they win 15 of them and get to 45 wins? Can they win 17 and get to 47? That might get them out of the play-in. Agreed. Just brought that up. Bad teams aren't necessarily bad at the beginning of the season. They blew out New Orleans. That's a solid win for them. Rock said the expectations are going insane. I do think with how good the defensive personnel is, if they had Kawhi Leonard all season long, they could probably be a top 4 seed in the West, but that's obviously not happening. Could they still be that competitive in a first round series if they got a healthy Kawhi Leonard? No one would want to see them healthy in the first round. Even OKC, I don't care who you are. Amin said, no excuse if we do lose. We can't play with our food regardless of which team we play. Agree? Your boy Reezy said Kawhi will play 57 games, I predicted. And then he quickly changes it, maybe 55. Cool story, bro. It's not going to affect how many he plays, the prediction here. I would sign up for either of those today. I would sign up for either of those. Gladly. Want to see him back on the court. Want to see him healthy. I want to see this Clippers team click all the way in and show how dangerous they could be in a first-round series if they're healthy. Your boy Reezy said the sports cliche, it's all about matchups like last year in the playoffs, like every year in the playoffs. But I really think the Clippers could match up with pretty much anyone because of their defense. They are multiple. They are versatile. Boonette said, with Leonard, Clippers can take out all these teams in the West one by one, take it to the bank. Yeah, that's optimistic. Take it to the bank. I appreciate the optimism, though. Boonette. Anything else on Portland that's of note that the Clippers have to be concerned with tonight? I mean, it really comes down to establishing the team you're going to be. In a game like this where the talent disparity is actually in your favor, especially defensively, and how good the Clippers can be there, it's about what they do, not so much about Portland, you could say. You got to be aware of Anthony Simons. This is a guy that when he catches fire, he brings out the flamethrower like Ripley and Aliens. It's impressive. He can absolutely go scorched earth and drop 35 on you. Easy money, light work style. Amin said, also, why we get such a tough schedule as after Portland is Phoenix and OKC. I mean, they have a top 5 toughest schedule according to Tankathon right now. Marcino Johnson said, nobody wants to see them in the playoffs healthy. Defense matters still in the NBA. Can we shout out Norman Powell? It does. I will say this, though. In the playoffs, everybody's playing better defense. In the regular season, if you bring the effort on the defensive end consistently night to night, you will catch other teams not doing that as much. And I think that's something playing in the Clippers' favor during the regular season. In the playoffs, everyone's giving maximum effort. So it will make it tougher on the Clippers' offense and their defense trying to keep pace. Rock said front court size could be an issue for Zubac. Boonette said Ayton might get the better of Zoo. If Zoo outplays him, I will be hyped. He has before. Your boy Reezy said by the time we play Dallas, Kawhi will be back, hopefully. Okay, I hope so too. That guy Spencer said the team is going to be fine, and this is rough defense. They will be better by January. 2-1 so far. They will be better. Okay, better than 2-1. Boonette said there's just not a lot we can go off yet. Do you think KPJ will get better than the BS he is on right now? I thought he was better last game than the 2 prior. He played within himself more, wasn't just looking to score, didn't have the tunnel vision as much on offense. So I don't know if he could play much worse. He's 5 of 25 from the floor. He needs a couple jumpers to fall. Prediction from Amin, Zoo will outplay Ayton. Clippers got 2 days off. They got the rest advantage. And almost every advantage you could hope for. There aren't going to be many nights like this where I could say that for this Clippers team, where they're going to have to outwork teams to create advantages rather than a game like tonight where I hope they do that too, but also they can have some talent and veteran savvy advantage with just more seasoning out there with guys who have proven more. Rock said, I think Russ being an anchor to any team and the Warriors not being the Warriors anymore. We have to remain calm and see how this process goes. He also said good start to the season, though. Boonit said, I want a Harden heater. I like this point. James Harden so far is shooting just 36% from the floor and is coming off a game where he was 2 of 12. Richard Heacock said, I know it's not related to tonight or the roster construction, but I wish more people gave Kawhi his due. Without all these injuries, he could still be considered top 10 all time. What a shame. I know. That guy Spencer said, who is your wild card for the most upswing on this team? Most upswing on this team? I could say Jordan Miller. Old Dirty Dasher said Jerami Grant a trade target. Is he trying to get put in timeout? Old Dirty Dasher, explain yourself. Marcino Johnson said Zoo's getting more touches. That's going to wear out Ayton. Zoo will be Zoo. He'll be fine. All right, we're getting a little bit off track. I got to go get ready for tonight, going into a dome. Hope to see you guys there. Appreciate you guys for this preview of Clippers versus Portland Trail Blazers. Tip off at 7:30. We'll have your pregame show starting at 6:30 right back here on the YouTube side and on the Patriot AM 1150. Till later tonight, this has been another episode of Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Moslin, and remember, the first rule of Clippers Talk is we do not talk about Jerami Grant trades. The second rule of Clippers Talk is we do not talk about Jerami Grant trades.